Okay, so you have how many children?
2.
Okay, what are your children's names?
Rhiannon and Jesse.
Rihanna and Jesse. And how old are they?
Rhiannon's 35 and Jesse's 32.
And how many grandchildren do you have?
2.
And what are their names?
Stella and Opal. Stella's 8 and Opal's 3.
Yes, if our family, yeah, I know. I'm on Facebook and I see photographs of them all the time.
Stella's named after my mom, of course.
Okay.
You know, which was really cool because Rhiannon and I were just driving and we found out about, her being pregnant. And I said, oh, you know what would be a good name for the baby? Because we found out it was going to be we kind of thought it was going to be a girl. If it's a girl and she's, we didn't find out because her butt was facing, and they couldn't see whether it was a boy or a girl.
Oh, really?
She had a breech. She was breached, so she had to have a C-section. And we both said Stella at the same time. So my mom was very thrilled about that.
Yeah.
So
that's how you named her.
Yeah.
That's I know. So, a couple of stories you were telling me about. You traveled around with your father a lot in the South, right? And you told me this great story yesterday.
No, that wasn't with my dad. That was with my first husband.
Mm.
When I told you I was walking down the street and some guy
Where was this?
It was in Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Yeah, and it was with my first husband, and I was just like 20. Pretty young.
Mm-hmm. And you were walking down the street.
And
it was a pretty scary story.
Yeah, and this guy kept following me. First he asked me if I wanted to model lingerie. I need a pajama model, he said. And I'm like, yeah, right, okay. And he's like, you're the perfect for it. And I go, no, I don't think so. No thanks. And he just kept following me in his car. And I was walking home, and I just was really, getting pretty scared about it. And somebody who was sitting on their porch, I guess, could see it coming down the street.
And it was an African-American woman.
Yes. And
it was an African-American woman, right?
Yeah. And she acted like, oh, you finally here. I made some lemonade for you. Come on in. And she acted like she knew me. And I just kind of, okay, and went in, and she had a couple of small children playing around in the living room, and, she said, that it looked like you were being bothered, and I thought maybe you would enjoy, on this hot day, some lemonade, and we can just sit here until he goes away.
That was very nice.
I know. It was very nice. And in Mississippi, I think I don't know if it would have been different if I was white, because I was obviously Mexican, because it was very warm there, and I was pretty tan. I was pretty dark. So, but I thought, God, this is amazing.
The other story I thought that was really cute was when you were living in Chicago with your grandmother and the nun.
Oh, the nun. That wasn't my grandmother. That was my aunt.
Oh, you were living with your aunt.
That was in 8th grade.
Uh-huh.
My Aunt Tina, which is my mom's sister. And I was in Catholic school, and I was always in trouble because I could never memorize all of that stuff that we had to memorize. And I didn't even try. I was real rebellious, and I just I don't see the point, and I would argue with her when she asked me, do you know the no. Did you even read it? No. I just don't see the point. He's snoring?
He's snoring, yeah.
You can hear Elmo snoring in the background.
Poor guy, he knows we'll laugh. The dogs with little turned up noses,
Yeah, right.
Bulldogs are the same way.
He snores at night, too. Sometimes I have to put my hand down and go, wake him up.
The football coach at my college had an English bulldog, and he always came into the chapel during the services, and we'd get right up next to the pulpit and go.
So anyway, you were saying.
So anyway, this nun really felt sorry for me, and she liked me for some reason. I think she understood me for, I don't know why, but she also made me, she tried to punish me, like I told you, you're supposed to get hit on the knuckles with the ruler, and she would close the door and pull the blind because we had a window, and she'd pull the blind so nobody could see, and she would hit the ruler on the desk, and I would yell, ow, 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 and she'd okay, you have to pretend like you cried, and we tried to make my face wet, like I was... And she really, you have to really, I'll get in trouble and look like you really, but I had to take her shopping. She says, this is how you're going to pay me back. And I had to push her shopping cart in the grocery market. And she knew, she said, the kids make fun of you. And I go, yeah. And she goes, but I can tell that it's not going to bother you. Because you'll probably kick them in the butt. And I go, well, yeah, I probably will. And she's like, but you won't do that, right? And I go, no. And because a lot of times she caught me like, kids would go, like that. And, they'd get away from me because I was, pretty rambunctious then. And, my aunt that I was living with, Tina, her oldest son was a black belt in karate. And he used to throw me and my cousin just all over the place in the house, over the couches, and she would be screaming at him, stop doing that, Henry! Stop torturing the girls. Mom, I'm teaching them stuff. No, you're not. You're just teasing him. Leave him alone. But he did teach me quite a bit of things that really did help me after I left there, because I got picked on a lot in school because I was 4'11" until my senior year of high school. Oh. I was like Irene, really tiny, and then I grew to my big, huge 5'3", 5'2 3/4". But I had, what he taught me really helped me a lot in high school. I got picked on, and I really never had a problem because he taught me about how to knock people's feet out from under them, and how to get their attention up here, and then choom, and they're like on the ground. So it was kind of a very memorable stay in Chicago. I really liked that time, but it was only for 1 year, thank goodness.
The other story I liked about how you would go out drinking with your father.
Oh yeah, my dad and my mom would be sitting there.
Where was this?
In Panama.
In Panama.
And I was like 16, 17. And my dad and I would go out, and we'd stay out till like 3 or 4 in the morning or something, And she was like, oh boy, she's going to get it. And I'd walk in with my dad, and my mom, what? She couldn't do it. I'm with Dad. Okay.
That's a great story.
And I could hear her yelling at him when they both went to bed. What are you doing out so late, Samantha? You're not supposed to keep her out that late. What is going on? You were with her the whole time? I loved that. I thought it was so funny. Because there were many times that I did stay out late, and I wasn't with my dad, but she never happened to
be around.
Because she worked late a lot of the time. And I just made sure that I came home before she did. And she was usually out till about midnight or something like that. So, And when I was in Panama, I had a 1:30 curfew because in the canal zone, it's pretty safe because you can get everywhere on buses and stuff. But if you were in Panama City, then they worried. But they knew I was like in the canal zone.
What year was this?
I graduated in 69, so it's probably 68, 67.
67,
I think we left in 66. So once we got on the base, it was pretty safe.
Well, now you have your own house in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about the place in Mexico and where it's at.
Todos Santos, an hour and 20 minutes or so from Cabo San Lucas, and about 45 minutes from La Paz. And it's very tropical and artsy and deserty at the same time. Really nice beaches. It's just got a different feel to it. Love it.
So pretty soon you're going to retire, and you're going to be there. What you
just
said
for the winter.
6
And
months
come back here.
in the summer.
Yeah, just come back for the summer if I can afford it. I know. I told Michael. I said, we need to be prepared for the fact that it might happen someday that we don't have the money to come back, and we'll get stuck there for a whole in the summer where it's
really hot in the
very
summer.
hot in the summer. It's pretty hot in the summer.
But you do own a home here now.
Yeah, if you could call it that. I owe so much on it. I really don't consider me owning it
Oh, I see.
when you own that much on it.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
that's how I bought my business.
Ah,
That's how I bought the property in
in
Baja.
Baja.
Yeah, refinanced. Part of it was from selling the store that I had, and the other half came from refinancing the house.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, when Bush got elected, I just wanted to leave.
Yeah,
You know, and it really convinced me that that was the thing to do.
right.
And I have to thank him for that. That's it, though. Other than that, like everybody else, he's not my favorite guy.
No.
No.
Okay, that's it.